Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And with the most recent batch of content, which is probably our last for the summer meta, we got one final stage to be added to the Heavenly Conquest Summer Splash Festival, and it is against the Demon Girls, so I wonder what that means. But this is going to be harder than any of the other stages because it's got 600 EP right now, which is kind of an arbitrary number. Don't worry about it. I've taken on fights with less EP than that. But looking at the fight itself, turn 1 is a 4 blue in slot 1, and then a special convert, which is an interesting handout. And then there are missions for clearing it 3 times, 5 alive, 3 dark, and 3 water characters. So that should be entertaining. And then the actual fight itself is, it's kind of wacky because Blanc has 60 million HP, which is more than what Dire 2 Beatdown Battle has, because I think they have like 48 or something in there. But you are a bit less restricted, and I say a bit because we do have an 80 SP seal, which doesn't matter if you have Lord's Ambition. So if you don't have Lord's Ambition, no 80-point skills for you. Pierce and Synergy Resistance, that's pretty typical. This team wants, they want us to use a summer meta, which is not Pierce and Synergy. Lowers your defense, Frostbite, AoE attack, and magic attack. And then Jean and Violet have much less HP, 44 million, so I guess that's nice, technically. Nerfs oranges, increases their attack and defense, lowers your magic resistance, binds people, and then Violet 43 million HP, and nerfs oranges, attack and defense, pierce power, synergy power, crit damage, aegis power. But again, that doesn't matter if you have Lord's Ambition. And then she seals body and spirit skills and changes your orbs, and also adds Vengeance, which is an interesting gimmick to give. So after turn 5, you're going to start dying very quickly. So that is, I guess that's the new way to make sure you don't really extend your fight further than it should be. Just by auto-killing you, almost. So, yeah. Clear with everyone alive, 7 turns, 5 turns or fewer. There are not going to be a lot of teams that can do this in 5 turns, especially with that 80-point seal. You pretty much need Summer Guy to do this, so this video will probably be not as long as the others because there's just not as many teams that can do it. So, let's jump in. Alright, so instead of starting with the good runs, we're actually going to start with the runs that I attempted to do that people would think might work, but don't actually work. And first off will be the Reckoning team, because yes, you do have some kind of damage output with Reckoning, but the way the stage is formatted, it actually works against you. So on some of the, after turn 3, your body and spirit skills are sealed. Like, I just actually skipped it. You could probably see it there. When we click on it. But yeah, so the healing field, the alt swap, the increased protection gauge for greens, Frey's skills, like these are all things that are sealed, plus the 90-point skill seal, which for Frey is not very important here. But, I did attempt to use the full Reckoning team, and it doesn't work. Because we take damage every other turn with this seal, because we can't put the healing field up, it means that maybe you don't die on turn 5, and you do some kind of Reckoning damage. It probably is not enough, because you can't use all your Reckoning skills all the time. And secondly, on turn 6, when you're sealed again, the Vengeance will kill you. And so that's exactly what happens here. So let's skip ahead to turn 5. We'll watch the attack come in. We've got 46, 48, 32 stacks right here. We're going to get more when they actually do damage to us. And eventually, the Reckoning will kick in. Boom, boom, boom. Reckoning, and there's the Vengeance, 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 and then the Reckoning kicks in. And it does 11.8 million damage, which is a decent amount. But they have like 44 million and 60 million. And now what happens is we're body and spirit skill sealed again, and we have no way to block that Reckoning damage, because we cannot put Hinata's healing field up. And realistically, running this team, there's no way to negate that. There is no Lord's Ambition ability that you can put from a from a team-wide perspective that's not a protection skill. So we're going to use Masayuki here, and we're going to go ahead into turn, like the end of turn 6, we're going to get hit, and get hit more, and then take an ult, and while we're not taking that much damage, because we might have extra overcapped HP, what really doesn't matter is what happens after this turn. So 40k dead. Alright, perfect. And then Traya comes in. And then Yuki, 33k, dead. Alright, Frey comes in. And then Shizu doesn't quite die because she's got so much extra HP, but now that we're missing so many stacks of Reckoning from 2 of our characters, we have no hope of killing. And that was the end of the clip. So, Reckoning team cannot work, unfortunately. As much as you want to huff glue, they have found ways around it. Alright, the next failed team I have is an Autogram Demon Lord Guy team, who does give us Lord's Ambition, so we are immune to the 80-point seal and the Frostbite and the Vengeance, and we're going to nuke with the Blanc team, because we know that Blanc can do a lot of damage. Violet, Autogram Lumi and Benimaru for the Dark mission, and then Shion from the Tails Collab for the crit, and Guy, alongside giving us Lord's Ambition, changes to greens. He puts the Weakness Strike debuff on for every person that we have Lord's Ambition on. He puts the 50% element resistance down, and that all sounds well and dandy and everything. But even if we get to the nuke turn, and we are fully buffed, like, Blanc has the crit buff, she has the physical damage buff, or physical attack buff from Benimaru, we've gotten a few stacks of Autogram Lumi's skills, and we still have to use Blanc's actual skill, and we have the control stacks active. Like, you would think that this would do a decent amount of damage. And for most things, yeah, it would be fine. It would be fine amounts of damage, but not in this fight. Because Blanc really shines and does those butt ton of damage numbers when we have Protector Shuna. And we can't use Shuna because we would lose Lord's Ambition, and we wouldn't even be able to use half the skills here because we'd have the 80-point seal. And we'd probably be dead too. So when we nuke here, Violet does 40k, Lumi does 1,000,000, unless we pierce, which we do, so we do half of that, and then Blanc on her actual full-powered nuke does 14 million, which again would be fine for most scenarios, but it's not here when they have 60 million or 44 million damage. So there may be a different team comp as far as support units where you can bring some extra damage. Maybe we just don't bring Violet and we bring someone else, and maybe you do 20 or 25 million damage. It's still not going to kill any of them. And then after this, we're dead from, like, we'll probably die from Vengeance or something along the way. Like, we don't have enough power with this team, even with Blanc. So this was another failed run where we just don't have the output for 60 million damage type neutral, or not under our true protection leader skill. So that was also a failed run. Alright, so now moving on to the teams that actually do work. It is just one team with variations of support units. But we've got the Summer Memories team, who'da thunk. The new Summer Memories team, by the way, not the old one. The old one's not doing 60 million damage. So, Guy, Jean, Violet, Blanc, Milim, Blanc. This has enough power to do what we need to do, and it has Lord's Ambition, which means that we're safe from the Reckoning, safe from the Vengeance, safe from the 80-point seal. And Summer Milim, with the full Enamor and Skill Fusion, will do most of the damage. Not all of it, but most of it. And then we could follow up with Jean to do the extra single target to kill the enemy Blanc, since she has like 20 million more HP. So, turn 1, we are starting with 36 skill points, so we can bring in Milim and bring in Summer Blanc, use the Rainbow Convert, and then we're going to save the Enamors starting on turn 3. So turn 3, turn 4, and turn 5, we have to Enamor all 3 people, and that is what will enable us to get the max amount of damage. Hello, cat. And then, otherwise, like, we should be fine. You may take a bit extra damage than you want to, because they like to target someone in particular. Just be aware of that. But as long as you're not taking excess damage from the Reckoning, or, well, not the Reckoning, but the Frostbite skill, then you should still be safe. And we will send Milim away, and we'll kind of hold on to some different buffs as time goes on. So here, we'll alt swap. This will get Milim's EX alt, so that's good. Getting support alts with Blanc and Violet will also help her damage out a bit. So that's going to be looking good as well. She can go away. And then we can work on getting the Jean alt, because that will be our backup DPS. So Milim, we could use her personal attack buff now, and then hold it. We can hold on to a couple other things, quite honestly, if we really wanted to. Like, we could hold on to the Jean first skill if we needed to, because that would give us the Aegis power. But let's alt swap. Let's now enamor. It doesn't really matter who you enamor right now, because all three of them at the end are going to be enamored. So boom, boom, and oh, okay, actually, we're going to leave her in. So we'll steal, and then we'll do the attack buff. And that means that we'll have it active for this turn and next turn. And then do we bring Jean in now? I think, yeah, we do. All right. So we've stolen a bunch of orbs. Now they're all Jean orbs, which is fantastic. And then, yeah, we will hold on to the Aegis power buff. And the single target buff won't be active on the nuke for Jean, but at least we're holding that Aegis power on Milim, because that's where most of our damage is coming from. So we'll send this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 92k a hit is not bad, but she has 60 million HP. Alright, cool. Take a hit. The Frostbite doesn't affect us because we have Lord's Ambition. And then the Bind also doesn't affect us. Alright. And then, next turn, I mean, we are going to save some stuff, so we can alt swap again. And then we can do the alt buff with the Jean early, because it does last for 2 turns. So it'll be active this turn, and it'll be active next turn, which is good, because next turn we will have the EX alt for Jean as well. And that will, again, help us. And then we'll have the final stack of Violet, so we can get that full 200% buff. And then we've enamored Jean, which means that we just need to enamor the enemy Violet, and then we'll be okay. So this is extra weakness strike for both our Dark Ladies, and 100k right there. Alright, pretty good. And now turn 5 kicks over. We're ready to nuke. We've used both rainbow skills for Blanc, so we have the full 100%. Everyone is going to be enamored. We're going to have the full power of Violet's buff. And then the last thing to do is to use the Warrior's Mind Blanc buff, which is the physical and magic damage and the dark resistance down, which is going to be huge. And we can use it because we have Lord's Ambition. Otherwise, that would have been sealed. So we'll take Blanc or Violet out of here, doesn't really matter. Or we'll bring in one at a time. Alright, because we need 2 more stacks, essentially. So I think what I might do is I might sacrifice the Blanc ult. Yeah, there you go. And then we'll use the Blanc buff. And then we can double stack with Guy. And that'll give us the full 40 points and everything, and we'll be looking good. Let's use let's do that now. And then we can take Blanc out. We'll bring Milim in. And we'll have a whole butt ton of orbs, which is also great. So, 90 points. Here, 200% EX ult damage, fantastic. Milim comes in. Okay, for Violet, actually, that works too. And then we could use the 40 points, and then we could actually yoink all those Jean orbs into Milim orbs, because she's going to do a lot more damage, because she has a lot more buffs going right now that have been held. So Milim, Jean, and then follow up Milims. She does 47 million damage, and then Jean cleans up with 19 million. So yeah, who'da thunk the new summer meta with some skill fusions with full enamor is actually gonna get the job done. It's very unfriendly to 99% of players though, so good luck. But that is our first clear. That is everyone alive. It's within 5 turns. It has 3 dark characters, so we have that mission done as well. And now we can come back and we can make one small substitution to our team comp. Alright, and for the 3 water character team, I mean, thankfully 2 of the characters are water already, in Blanc and Violet. So this time we've just switched and brought in Fount of Wisdom Rimuru instead of Dark Jean. And it still works. It's not as good, but it still will get the job done. And it's pretty much the exact same formula as what we did last time, so we don't need to sit here and watch everything, so I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. So yeah, let's go here. So we're on turn 3. We have the EX Milim alt. That's fantastic. We still have guys, we still have the Lord's Ambition, which means that Rimuru and his 80-point skill can still be used, and we can hold on to that in the back. So we're still going to have the Jean buff, not Jean, but the Blanc buff, the Rimuru buff, the Milim Enamor because of, well, the Enamor Strike from the 3 people that are going to be enamored by Blanc. And, you know, that's fine and dandy. We'll have the EX alt damage from Violet. Like, literally, it is the same thing. It's just you've simply swapped Jean for Rimuru. And now you have 3 water characters. So nothing has really changed, except you don't have a strong single target nuking character as a backup, which means that this run in particular is actually going to go to turn 6 for me. But because we have Lord's Ambition, we don't die from the Vengeance skill, which is a pretty big lifesaver. So we'll physical buff now, we'll alt swap away, boom and boom, and then we'll send Milim away, and we'll bring Jean or someone in. Or, I keep calling her Jean. We'll bring Blanc, we'll enamor, and then we'll send this turn, and then we'll skip ahead to turn 5. Boom. Alright. We have to use Lord's Ambition again to, 1, unseal Blanc so we can enamor, and then 2, be the last stack for the EX alt buff from Violet. And then we're looking pretty good, because we've already held on to the physical buff with Rimuru. The physical down debuff that he puts is not super impactful, so I'm not too worried about not using that here. But we already did use the Blanc buff as well. So, yeah, now we have everything really going for us. So let's go ahead and send our Weakness Strike alts first, and then we'll nuke with Milim. So, small damage, Milim, 46 million. So it's enough to kill 2 of them. But again, we are left with Blanc, who has quite a bit of HP left over, and even our follow-up orbs with Milim, doing a lot of damage, is not enough to kill. So Violet almost died there. Thankfully, Reckoning, or Vengeance and Frostbite are not active, so we're actually going to live. And at this point, all we need to do is essentially get another Milim ult, and enamor her again. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll swap Violet away, because we can't have her up front. We have another guy, so we'll use that, and then we can steal all the orbs into Milim. Or do we even have the point? Yeah, we can do that. So we'll do this, and then we'll enamor, or do the attack and dark buff, whatever, and then we'll enamor next turn. Either way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're gonna be okay. Oh, no, we have Blanc skill. Let's do that. Really? No. Okay, no. We wouldn't gain anything there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now we will have barely enough damage. Like, Milim almost died there, too. Because now Blanc has a lot of extra buffs on her. So, realistically, turn 6 is where you're going to be surviving, and then you start dying. Because there's no way to negate that kind of damage buff that Blanc is putting on herself. So, let's use Guy. Lord's Ambition one more time. We have enough points. So now we will use the dark buff from Blanc again. And that will be just enough power to kill. So boom, 3.6 million. And that's all we needed to do right there. Thank God. But there is the 3 dark character and the 3 water character mission. Unfortunately, it's done with pretty much the same exact fucking team. And I really don't think there's another way to get around it with, like, using this kind of build. But there is one more team that you can use that is quite whaley, but might be successful for you. Alright, so if you kill them first, they can't kill you with their passive abilities. So we're going to run pretty much the full Schemer team. It is the full Schemer team, minus, like, Violet or Blanc. Because we actually need to bring Earth Trainee. And I found that she works the best because she is doing double duty. Because she can heal you for a couple turns, and with her skill fusion, she has that alt resistance buff, which means that you will just take less damage from all the alts are going to send at you. And that is going to keep you barely alive. Alright, so turn 1, we could Orb Steal if we wanted to, but I actually don't want a Diablo ult right here. So we're just going to go ahead and send the 4 blues, and then use the Soka Gimmick now. That way we can start accumulating the hits as quick as possible. We're going to need a lot of those to do 60 million damage here, with everyone still alive. So boom, alright, another hit, counterattacks are good. We have no way to get around the 80-point seals, so we're not ever going to use Lumi's skill, because that costs 90, unfortunately. But we do have Lumi because of the multi-hit. And if you have the Protector of Peace Hinata, that can also work, because she also has the multi-hit skill. And you're also not worried about Hinata's second skill either, so it doesn't really matter. But we have Laplace for the follow-ups, so now combine the AoE skill, the multi-hit, the follow-ups, Schemer, orbs just in general. We're going to get a lot of hit counts. Yeah, look at that. We're already up to 130, and we still have this and the follow-up orbs to take into account. And you pretty much, you do this the entire fight. And then on turn 5, the sword gimmick kicks in before the frostbite and before the vengeance skills of the enemy. It's just that you need to have everyone alive with a good attack stat and kill them, which means you need a butt ton of hits, and you need a decent attack stat. And this is why we brought Trainee, because the AoE ults, the single target ults, they will whittle you down, and we have no way to protect us from the frostbite damage over time, and that will just straight up kill you. Like, I've had 3 people dead on turn 5 before we even get to nuke sometimes. So we really, really need Trainee specifically. If you brought Lumi, if you brought Romorus, unfortunately, it's not enough. You need that ult resistance to cut that damage down, because doing, like, Blanc or Jean doing 8k to you is not something you can recover very easily, and they do it a lot. So there's the frostbite, and we're going to take continuous passive damage from that. You know, Trainee, we want to leave up front the entire time, because it means that she'll be sealed less. We could use her heal on turn 3, and then we can use her heal on turn 5. So she's sealed right now. If we leave her up front, we can heal back on turn 5 and try and keep everyone alive during their round of attacks. And at that point, we might be okay. But that's a big if. We're actually going to take Diablo out, and we're going to bring these 2 in because they have more HP, preferably. And then we'll use the Trainee ult resistance buff again and protect us from the damage that Jean is going to do here. Because, like I said, normally she'd do like 8k or something. But here, she's going to do 5k, which is a whole lot better. Like, it's a whole lot better. And we can recover from that. And now it's turn 5. It's the last turn before the sword gimmick kicks in. We are quite high in attack numbers, and we have access to the heal again. And that's because we left Trainee up front pretty much the entire fight. So we'll bring you in, we'll take Laplace out, even though his ult is AoE, like, it's good. But we can heal, and then we could AoE buff with, or we can just attack buff with Diablo, and then send the ult, and it will actually do like 600,000 damage, and that is enough. That is barely enough for what we need to do here. So we're up to 595 hits, almost 600 hits. And because we healed, Diablo will live. Barely. Barely live. Because here, the Frostbite's going to kick in, boom, but then the Sword Gimmick does actually kill everyone. So you do need the full Schemer team in order to do that. Or maybe you at least lead Sokka, Diablo. You can make a case that you don't need Diablo, but you would need another Schemer character to continue to help get you the extra attack stacks, or the hit stacks. And then, like I said, Earth Trainee is going to be almost necessary for this. I don't think another healer will be able to protect you from this. So, those are the 3 teams and 2 failed teams that I've used today. If you have found something else that works, that is maybe a bit more friendly for other players, please put it down in the comments. I really don't think there is, but there might be out there. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.